Alright everyone, welcome back to By the Box Season 2 Episode 3. This time we got Revolution beginning and Tornado of Phantoms going. So just real quick, I've gained a lot of subscribers since the last time that I did this series. So for those of you that are new to this series is a little bit different compared to my other videos. I don't script By the Box, I don't edit them super heavily. It's very discussion and rambling based as we go through every box in the game, talk about the good cards that are in them, whether or not they're worth putting gems or even actual money into. But yeah, we have a full season 1 of By the Box and 2 other episodes in season 2 if you're interested in more of the series. I've been doing this basically since I started the channel, so it feels good to be doing By the Box again. So jumping straight into Revolution beginning, the A tier, we have one card in the A tier, and that is the normal spell card Miracle Fusion. This card recently became very notorious, has the effect to fusion summon an elemental hero fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing materials from your field or from your graveyard. This card has always been pretty good, banishing cards in the graveyard you otherwise wouldn't be using to make powerful fusion monsters. However, this card got a significant boost when elemental hero Liquid Soldier came to the game. It was very easy to put Liquid Soldier in the graveyard, and when used as a fusion material, Liquid Soldier would let you draw 2 cards and then discard 1. Using him from the grave, it became an instant +1 and made Miracle Fusion probably the best fusion spell card for heroes. And it was seeing an insane amount of play up until a recent restriction of Liquid Soldier has nullified the power level of heroes. Not crazy, they are still good enough to where I think Miracle Fusion should be in the A tier. But it's just to say, had I made this By the Box a few weeks ago, I would have been praising this card a lot more. It has 1 reprint and it's extremely recent in Selection Box Volume 2 Super Mini. So moving down to the B tier, in the B tier I got 2 cards and they are both part of the same archetype, they're both super rares and they're both limited, and that is Karakuri Merchant as well as Nanishi. Karakuri Merchant is one of the most straightforward and honestly excellent combo starters in the entire game. When he's normal summoned, you can simply add a Karakuri monster from your deck to your hand. For a deck that already has insane consistency and draw power, the fact that they have a card like this as well is just almost overkill. Now in my opinion, I don't think Karakuris can put up the same firepower that they used to. So yes, they're very consistent and they have crazy combos, but what they're ending on isn't exactly anything special. And I'm not saying that to downplay Merchant or Nanishi, it's just to give my stance on the restrictions of the deck. To say that they probably can become unrestricted, and we may even see them compete if that were to happen, because as you've noticed, Merchant is limited to 1. He's that good of a combo starter. Is it justified? In my opinion, not these days. And while Nanishi is on the field, you can have an additional normal summon of a Karakuri monster on your turn. And this lets you get Nanishi on the field while also getting Merchant Search. They are probably the 2 best main deck monsters that Karakuri has besides Kuzman, and should they become unrestricted, they could become a fiery, consistent combo deck again. So jumping down to the C tier, I have a couple of cards here, and we're going to start with one of the ultra rares, Doomcaliber Knight. Doomcaliber Knight is a level 4 Dark Fiend. He cannot be special summoned, and during either player's turn, if a monster effect is activated, Doomcaliber Knight will tribute himself, negate the activation, and destroy that monster. So the thing about this card is his negate is not optional. One of the only mandatory negates in the game I can think about. So this means the first monster effect that is activated while Doomcaliber is on the field is getting negated, even if it's your own, so you have to be very careful with this card. Has seen play in Resonators basically since the deck was a thing. Resonators don't need their normal summon, they are able to search Doomcaliber Knight with their skill, and they are able to put up a board of monsters that include Red Rising Dragon, some defense position Resonator monsters, 6,100 life points, and this negate on the field. So Doomcaliber actually gave Resonators a very strong turn 1 for the longest time, but then the skill for the deck got nerfed and it started to see less play, and by extension so did Doomcaliber Knight. With the recent buff to Resonators as well as the format change, Doomcaliber Knight did get better for the deck, and it's just a solid card in general that any deck that doesn't need their normal summon can maybe find a way to incorporate this card. It's just something that you normal summon last. You just put it on the board and you say to your opponent, hey, play around this. The next card in C tier is a little debatable. It's very side decky, but I do very much like this card, and that is the Continuous Trap Unending Nightmare. Unending Nightmare has the effect to pay 1,000 life points to target a face-up spell or trap on the field and destroy it. It's a hard once per turn on that effect. But the fact that it's a continuous trap card means you can use it on your opponent's turn, and then your turn, and then your opponent's turn again. Of course, 1,000 life points is pretty hefty for dueling standards, but in tournament format, this card is excellent. There are plenty of decks effects such as DDD that very much revolve around face-up spells and traps. But honestly, the biggest reason I'm putting it in the C tier is because I actually think this card is very good against Salamangreat. Because yes, not only can it pop Salamangreat Sanctuary, but it can also pop Crackdown, which is a very popular card in Salamangreat. Don't get me wrong, it's not crazy against Salamangreats, it's not gonna win you the game against Salamangreats or anything. It's just to say it's a very interesting side deck tech and tournament format. And lastly, in the C tier, I'm gonna go over the Fabled Cerburrel. This card sees a lot of play in Invoked Beast. Invoked Beast is a very lukewarm deck that isn't super great, but is still capable of King of Games. Cerburrel stands as one of the best Obedience schooled targets, so much so that it's actually in the artwork. This card can summon multiple level 2 or lower beast type monsters from the deck that can then facilitate level 4 synchro play such as Fabled Unicorn, or rank 2s if you wanted. But the Fabled Cerburrel, on top of being a level 2 tuner, also has the effect that if he's discarded to the graveyard, he special summons himself. Synergizes with his own archetype mostly. Now, these decks that revolve around these beast monsters, they do like to run Unicorn, who has the effect that while you and your opponent have the same number of cards in your hands, it negates all cards and effects activated by your opponent, and if you do, you destroy those cards. It's like literally the strongest effect possible, or at least one of the strongest effects possible. But of course, the hair in the soup is having the same number of cards in the hand. So the decks that run the Fabled Cerburrel actually run a lot of cards that can manipulate their own hands, such as Karma Cut. So the Fabled Cerburrel's effect to be discarded actually does come up. But the biggest thing is him being a Obedience schooled target that can immediately go into Unicorn. So that's gonna do it for Revolution Beginning. There are some other noteworthy things here. We will go over the poster boy Junk Destroyer, who is actually a very solid card. He's a level 8 Earth Warrior Synchro monster. He requires Junk Synchron and then one or more non-tuner monsters. When he's Synchro summoned, you can target cards on the field up to the number of non-tuners used for his Synchro summon, and you can destroy those targets. Is actually really good in Shooting Star as a field clearing machine. Shooting Star has just built-in level 5 Synchro capabilities. Junk Synchron is their primary tuner to begin with. Junk Destroyer just actually is straight up very solid. And while Shooting Star is a good deck, very underrated in my opinion, Junk Destroyer is not an integral part of the deck. It's something that they don't even go into every duel, so I can't really justify putting it in a tier. There is also a fair and good amount of Kwakimiru support, including Diamond Core of Kwakimiru. This card is really important for the deck. It's a searcher for them, and also protects your Karakuri monsters from their own effects. Alright, now that we are done with Revolution Beginning, we are jumping into Tornado of Phantoms. And Tornado of Phantoms in the A tier, no sir. We are still following this string of not super great mini boxes from back in old timey times. However, in the C tier, we will be starting off with the poster boy, Elemental Hero Great Tornado. He's a level 8 Wind Warrior Fusion. He requires an Elemental Hero monster and a Wind monster. He has to be Fusion summoned, and when he is, he halves the attack and defense of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. So like I was talking about with Miracle Fusion earlier, a lot of Elemental Heroes got a buff just from the recent hero support, and Great Tornado found himself in a bunch of hero extra decks. It was just very satisfying to summon him, have the attack of all opponents' monsters, summon out Elemental Hero Sunrise and maybe another beater, and then just start going to town, making Great Tornado actually an OTK enabler. Just not a super great one, and definitely not the first choice. So he stands as a decent card, and I think probably a month or two from now I would take him out of the C tier. I don't see his potential going up, but hey, you know what? If the card's been seeing play recently, I'm gonna give it some credit. So good for you, Great Tornado. And also in the C tier, and I'm a little light with this one, but it's Wurm. Wurm is a level 9 Synchro. It requires 1 tuner and 2 or more non-tuners. When it's Synchro summoned, you can target up to 3 cards your opponent controls and return them to the hand. That is a monster effect and can easily enable an OTK. So he's damn good, and you would definitely want to summon him going second, what have you, but 1 tuner and 2 or more non-tuners is just kind of difficult. And the payoff just isn't really worth it, especially now that Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, is in the game. Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier is also a level 9 Synchro and requires the same exact materials. And not to mention, Trishula is actually more affordable than Wurm, because Trishula is actually a guaranteed free card with 850 gems. And that is to say that Wurm, despite being a powerhouse Synchro monster, has already been power crept and will likely continue to be power crept. stopped. To a point where it's kind of the same thing with Great Tornado, where, you know, a month or two down the line, I don't think I would keep Mistworm in the categories. And if I'm gonna level with you guys, I just needed something to talk about. But there is there is Monodragon Zernitron. Why can't I pronounce anything? Who sees pretty consistent play in Red Eyes and is a good card for them. So that is going to do it for Buy the Box Season 2, Episode 3. The plan is to do a Buy the Box every month from now on, so I'm staying caught up with the series. I know a lot of you love this series. I know some of you are not interested in it at all. Some of you don't like my rambly, off-script type of, you know, I get it. But for those of you that do enjoy Buy the Box, I love this series. So the fact that a lot of you guys have been like, where the f is Buy the Box? And, you know, it's been very flattering to me. So yeah, I'm going to try and be more consistent with this series. It felt really good to make another one, and I will see you guys in my next video.